The Young and the Restless delivers a major Chancellor Industries bombshell as Billy Abbott uncovers a secret that could completely rewrite the company's history. At the same time, Nick Newman faces the painful reality of his addiction battle, while Sharon finds herself caught in the middle of growing tension within the Newman family. Billy meets Jack Abbott and Kyle Abbott at the Park Cafe with information that neither of them expects to hear. After digging into Chancellor's past, Billy has uncovered evidence involving John Abbott and Philip Chancellor II. According to Billy's discovery, John Abbott was the person who stepped in to save Chancellor from bankruptcy long before Catherine Chancellor eventually took control of the company. For years, that assistance may have looked like nothing more than one businessman helping another during a financial crisis. Billy's research suggests the truth was far more complicated. John's financial help apparently came with a formal business agreement. Billy explains that the contract between John Abbott and Philip Chancellor II included a crucial condition. Philip and Chancellor were given 20 years to repay the debt. If that debt was not paid within the agreed period, ownership of Chancellor would transfer to John Abbott and his heirs. That single provision changes everything. Philip died in 1975, and Billy has been unable to find paperwork proving that the debt to John was ever fully repaid. If no evidence of repayment exists, the Abbott family could potentially have a legitimate claim to Chancellor Industries. Jack and Kyle are left processing the enormous implications of Billy's discovery. Chancellor has passed through different hands and survived decades of family battles, corporate struggles, and power shifts. Now, an agreement buried deep in the company's history could challenge everything people believed about its ownership. Billy's revelation also raises serious questions about what Jill Abbott knew and why this information remained hidden for so long. For Billy, this is no longer simply another piece of Chancellor history. It could become one of the biggest discoveries the Abbott family has ever made. While the Abbotts deal with a corporate shockwave, Nick Newman is fighting a much more personal battle. At the rehab facility, Nick attends a meeting and finally opens up about the devastating night he experienced at the motel. His encounter with a troubled woman pushed him into another frightening situation and showed just how far his life had spiraled. Marie Kurland arrives after being released from the hospital and makes it clear that Nick deserves credit for what happened that night. Despite everything Nick was going through himself, he helped save the woman's life. Marie tries to ease some of the emotional pressure with humor. She still does not know whether she is ready to fully commit to rehab, but she recognizes that simply being there is progress. Her attitude gives Nick a rare moment of relief during an otherwise painful chapter of his recovery. Across town at Crimson Lights, Sharon Newman tells Mariah Copeland about Nick's late-night call. Sharon explains that Nick contacted her from the motel and needed her to come get him. When she arrived, she saw a version of Nick that deeply frightened her. He was emotionally broken and clearly struggling after hitting another low point. Mariah immediately becomes concerned about Sharon as well. She knows her mother has a habit of rushing to help the people she loves, even when carrying their problems begins taking a toll on her own life. Sharon understands the concern, but she sees things differently. She remembers the many times other people supported her through her darkest moments. Being able to return that support now feels important to her. Nick's disappearance also brings Victor and Nikki Newman back home earlier than expected. Victoria had become so worried about her brother that she contacted her parents, leading Victor and Nikki to cut their Venice trip short. Once they return, Sharon explains what she knows about Nick's latest crisis, although she admits Nick did not give her every detail. The conversation quickly becomes tense. Sharon acknowledges that Nick is no longer dealing with a temporary problem. His recovery will require him to accept that addiction is a lifelong battle and that his life may need to change permanently. Victoria reacts strongly to Sharon's words. Already terrified for her brother, she feels Nick needs unconditional support, rather than having his condition analyzed while he is struggling. Nikki steps in before the disagreement grows worse. She understands Victoria's fear, but she also recognizes the difficult truth behind recovery. Nick has to choose to do the work himself. His family can support him, protect him, and stand beside him. But they cannot fight the entire battle for him. As Nick begins confronting that reality, another battle is forming around Chancellor Industries. Billy's discovery has opened a door that could change the Abbott family's future and threaten the foundation of one of Genoa City's most powerful companies. A forgotten agreement involving John Abbott, may have just turned Chancellor's entire history upside down.